So here's a story from KGW8. Who are these federal officers sent to Portland to deal with the protesters?
Now, if you caught just a whiff of local news over the weekend, you might already have kind of an idea of what our big story is tonight. But now I'm sure some of you have seen at this point some of the headlines from Saturday night and into Sunday morning. A federal agent outside Portland's Justice Center shot a man in the head with some kind of impact munition, a crowd control weapon. It nearly killed him. It was caught on camera. That video has now gone viral. And today,
the federal police shot a man in the head. Almost killed him.
26-year-old Donovan Labella is in Legacy Emanuel Hospital in serious condition. His family telling reporters the impact from that fractured his skull. So those, as they say, are just the facts. But here's where things start to diverge. Now, on one hand, you've got this narrative that says Donovan threw a smoke grenade at federal agents. But on the other hand, the story goes federal agents attacked a peaceful protester doing nothing more than exercising his First Amendment right. Now, seeing as though we are in the fact business, not the narrative business, despite some of the emails we get from time to time, we figured the best way to settle all of this for you would to just be to go ahead and play you the darn video. So that's what we're going to do, only this once. And since we're only showing it once,
just this once, as a treat,
is what you're going to see. Labella is the man you'll see in the middle of the frame, holding a speaker over his head. You'll see how he handles the tear gas that lands in his feet. You'll see him drop when he gets hit in the head, and you'll see people rush over to help him. The whole video lasts about 20 seconds. So if you don't want to watch, now's the time to go ahead and glance down at your phone, something like that. In the meantime, here it is.
Hey, get the f. Hey, kick that.
Holy shit.
Okay. That's it. That's the last time that you're going to see it on this show. If you want to see it again, that's up to you. Plenty of ways to find it. No judgment. Honestly, I've watched it about 30 times and at this point kind of have an opinion on it. Now, look, I've been doing this long enough to know that you can't judge an entire situation from a 20-second video clip, and this is a really easy one to want to do that with. That said, when I read that he threw a gas canister back at agents as the reason that he was shot in the face, in my 30 views, that's not what I saw, not in that 20 seconds. I saw him toss it maybe 2 or 3 feet underhand and step backwards with his hands over his head, holding a speaker, not a weapon or something that could be confused as a weapon, while off.
It was a very gentle, casual toss away from him.
Officers lined up on the other side of the street. But look, that's just my read of that 20 seconds of video. You're free to disagree. But it does raise an interesting question. Why are federal troops suddenly all over Portland? We're a month and a half into protests. Why are we seeing this now? The head of our federal government, our president, gave us some insight about it this morning.
We've done a great job in Portland. Portland was totally out of control, and they went in, and I guess we have many people right now in jail, and we very much...
And a man in the hospital after being shot in the face.
...quelled it. And if it starts again, we'll quell it again very easily. It's not hard to do if you know what you're doing.
Now, I know it's probably hard for you to imagine, but Senator Ron Wyden was pretty critical of the president and the federal response last night. Kyle Aboshi talked to him and the U.S. Attorney for Oregon to get a better understanding of what the feds are doing at these protests.
The U.S. Marshal Service will conduct a full investigation after a federal officer shot and seriously injured a Portland protester in the head with a crowd control weapon this weekend. The incident captured on video and shared on social media.
I appreciate that the anchor, pointed out that this is obviously bullshit. I wish they would quit showing this tweet from Andy. I assume most of y'all know about this guy, but he actively works against Antifa and BLM, actually provides kill lists to white supremacists, tries to reveal identities of people participating in demonstrations, just an all-around piece of shit. Just really reprehensible scum.
Media has drawn harsh criticism from elected leaders, including Oregon Senator Ron Wyden.
There's no other way to describe that act as the act of essentially an occupying army that sees their role as suppressing protest, even when it's peaceful.
Federal law enforcement, including the U.S. Marshals, Federal Protective Service, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and Homeland Security, were called in earlier this month from outside the area to help protect federal buildings and personnel in downtown Portland, including the federal courthouse, which prosecutors say has already seen more than $50,000 in damage. The feds have made roughly a dozen arrests.
It's a constant theme we're seeing. Federal troops, federal officers, National Guard deployed to protect property. Not deployed to protect people, not deployed to who hand out, tests or food, but to protect property against protesters. Wow, man. I believe that did happen in the past few days. This story is from July 13th. I'm guessing
one
within the past few
protester,
days.
they say, attacked a federal agent with a hammer, and another busted for shining a green laser at officers, explained U.S. Attorney for Oregon, Billy Williams.
This does nothing. This does nothing other than endanger the lives of law enforcement as well as those who choose to engage in criminal behavior. They're not protesters. They're just lawless actors.
Unlike Portland Police, which is subject to a court order limiting the use of tear gas, federal agents can use a variety of crowd-controlled devices. This photo shows the equipment worn by U.S. Marshals when confronting protesters. The U.S. Attorney in Oregon...
Absolutely insane. This right here looks like a soldier. Looks like somebody sent to occupy a country. It's wild.
Explained federal officers will continue to rotate in to help protect federal property.
It might be a dozen team members from this agency or a dozen team members from that agency. It could be 15, could be, somewhere in that neighborhood.
The U.S. Marshals
So they're just pulling from different agencies.
The officer involved in this weekend's use of less than lethal munitions or provided any additional details. The case has been forwarded on to the Office of Inspector General for an internal review. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.
Mayor Wheeler took some criticism for waiting most of the day yesterday before issuing.
So I think that did a pretty good job of covering, what's going on here. Federal officers from a variety of, alphabet soup organizations are being deployed out, protecting property, federal property. How many arrests have they said they've made? Nearly a dozen people. And of course, they're characterizing them as lawless actors, even though we've already seen people peacefully protesting getting arrested by them. So what can federal officers do that local police can't? So they're able to use tear gas, a variety of crowd control devices, but it's not clear exactly all that they have available. Now, apparently they must comply with agency protocol and standards for use of force. Okay. The U.S. Marshal Service asked for an internal investigation of this weekend's incident. That's what we heard before.